Welcome to the Iron Self podcast, where we jump into health, fitness, mindset, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today with your hosts, Mike and Kaila Minion. Welcome back to the Iron Self podcast.
Hey guys, today we are here to talk about
the perfect meal plan.
You stole it from me.
Go for it.
No, perfect meal plan, guys.
Oh boy. Okay, so what is the perfect meal plan for you to get you to your goals? Whether your goals be weight loss, whether it be weight gain, whether it be body recomposition, whether it just be healthy eating.
Strictly performance, whatever it might be. There are a million meal plans and there's a lot of information out there giving everybody different ideas on what the perfect meal plan might be.
So I will say, if you go online right now and you type in, is keto the best option for me?
You'll get yeses.
You will get yeses.
And no's.
Well, it depends. Like, it depends where you lie on that spectrum too, right? With what you're typing in. If you go on there and you type in, is high protein the best option for me and my goals? You're going to find yes. So really the answer is, it depends.
We're on a string of it depends. I love it.
But I mean, there's a lot of things that come into factor here when it comes to the perfect meal plan for you. And do I do a meal plan? Do I do macros? Like, oh my gosh, there's so much that it's so hard to decipher what is right. So let's kind of take you guys through it. So the perfect meal plan, number one, should reduce inflammatory foods. And so that might be inflammatory oils, it might be processed foods that cause inflammation in the body.
One of the biggest ones to start with is processed foods. Like if you're eating a highly processed diet, that causes inflammation. Your body doesn't know what to do with these food products and it tries to store them as fat.
So why is it important to reduce inflammatory foods?
So you feel better.
So you feel better, right? Well, one of it's feel better. Then we have less dis-ease in the body, because dis-ease in the body leads to disease in the body down long term, right? Chronic inflammation in the body over time breaks the body down, and we end up with illnesses, chronic conditions, those kinds of things. And most people don't understand that most of this is preventable based on your lifestyle and based on what you choose to nourish your body with.
Well, inflammatory foods are one of those things that we have talked about in the past with, I think we talked to Becky about this, but one of the things is with that increased inflammation, it's sending stress signals, right? So that gut-brain axis is sending stress signals between the two of them. So inflammatory foods create stress in your life. And again, your body doesn't know the difference between getting chased by a lion or eating food that is causing inflammation.
So we may do a future episode more on inflammatory foods, but at this point, just know that the perfect meal plan does reduce inflammatory foods and processed foods.
So what will we focus on then?
So number two, you're going to begin to focus on whole foods. So the perfect meal plan is a whole food approach, meaning if it comes from Mother Earth, it should be okay to eat.
Seems simple, right?
It does seem simple, but I think that a lot of the time we don't think that those are the things that we want to eat. We don't have that desire to nourish our body with them.
Well, the funny thing about whole foods is that if you are eating a highly processed diet right now, it's hard to wrap your mind around the idea of, plain old chicken or whatever it might be, right? Like a regular food that isn't spiced up, we'll call it.
Well, how can I go from a Lipton Sidekick dinner meal thing, I don't even know what they are, but Lipton Sidekicks, all the way over to just steamed broccoli or boiled rice? Like, right? That sounds really plain.
So in your mind, that's the first thing that goes through it is like, oh, this doesn't sound appetizing at all, right? And that's the whole idea behind these highly palatable foods is they're addictive. They make you think, I need to always have things like this, and that's a beautiful sales technique by everybody that's ever made these foods. But the reality is, once your body starts getting nourished by whole foods, your body adapts to that and loves that.
Well, and you can actually make a lot of these whole foods taste just as good, if not better, than a lot of these prepackaged processed things. So here, think of it like this. We have herbs and spices for a reason, to flavor your food. right? But you can also add other things in to help with the flavor. Think about like your garlics, your onions, maybe your chipotle peppers. Like these are all different things that you can add in to change up the spice of your food, to change up the flavor. Maybe you decide that, hey, we're gonna have like a Cajun night, and maybe we're gonna have like this other night. If you're not a person that wants to mix up your own spice concoctions, think of something like Epicure or something like that, or one of these other companies that are out there, Sunset Gourmet, like there's lots of them out there, that happen to have them already pre-mixed for you, and you can just literally add it to your food.
Dump it in and eat.
And you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, is this the perfect Cajun seasoning? I mean, I like to mix my own because
Kayla likes control.
I like to be in control.
But that's not a bad thing either, because once you get used to these spices and cooking all the time, you get very good at it, and you get to try new things. And sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're not so great. And we can learn from that.
And your family still has to eat them when they're not so
Right?
great.
100%.
Okay, so number 1, reduces inflammatory foods and processed foods. Number 2, it's a whole foods approach. Number 3, the perfect meal plan reduces or eliminates foods that cause intolerances or allergies in the body, meaning that every person's body is different. If a food is causing you to bloat all the time, or it's causing increased water retention all the time, or you're noticing that you get an upset stomach, or you're constipated, or you've got diarrhea, like whatever your body feedback is giving you in regards to that, you need to pay attention to these things, because we can have food intolerances and not test positive on an allergy test because it's an intolerance. It's not an allergy. You're not going into anaphylaxis because of it. I mean, Mike, you can attest to this. Mike and our son also both get a rash on their body when they consume soy products. Well, it took us a really long time to figure out that it was soy that was specifically doing this, but they don't get gut upset or anything like that. It's just like an eczema style rash on their body.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's different for everybody, right? So allergies and tolerances show up in different ways for everybody. There's a client that I work with who gets chronic knee pain. Couldn't figure out why. And I was like, well, look at your diet. What do you have for your diet? The days that he would have dairy products, he would get his knee pain. So it's like, seems weird. Let's take it out and see if it makes a difference. Takes the dairy out, knee pain gone. It's like, okay, well that showed up very different, right? So just because it's something that isn't explained, it could very well be coming from your diet. The best way to look at this is if you start actually taking a food log down, when you eat food, you write it down. And then you start to take note of when you're not feeling so good, whether it's digestive upset or an unexplained rash like I get with soy, or just random pain that you always seem to get that has no explanation. Write down when you get that. And then try and make a correlation between the two. And it's like, oh, every time I feel like this, I've eaten this within the last day before that.
Yeah, well, and you don't necessarily know what food might affect you differently. We've had a client recently who has always get this bloat halfway through the day, like super crazy gastric upset. And when I was looking at her food logs, and I was like, I have her tracking, how food is making her feel alongside it and how she feels before, during, after. She's hitting these crazy afternoon fatigue periods, crazy bloat, upset stomach. And every day that took place, it was after her protein shake that she was having. It was a vegan, plant-based protein shake, but she was simply adding something like spirulina to it, which doesn't affect everybody, but it was actually causing that inflammation in her body. So paying attention to what you're putting in your body and how that really affects your body. And that, like Mike said, the best way is write it down. And that's when you're going to start to become your own scientist, your own observer to really understand, is this affecting me? I mean, I can relate to that when in regards to gluten, right? I thought I was just allergic to beer. It's not just beer.
I love it.
But, you got to really start paying attention to how other things are affecting your body and the inflammation that you cause.
The biggest thing for a lot of people is being able to identify how their body is feeling, because a lot of us have kind of lost touch with how we feel. So we just kind of go through the motions and just accept that we might not feel great all the time. We're supposed to feel great. So let's figure out what triggers us to not feel great, and then we can work on that.
Yeah, do you know what triggers me? Sugar. Now that I don't eat a lot of sugar, every time I eat sugar, I am so gassy for a couple days.
She's not lying. All right.
Okay, number 4.
Is listening to her body.
Based on your body's feedback. So it does relate to the food intolerances, but let's talk something like beans. Okay, most people don't have a bean intolerance, unless you're Mike, but most people don't have a bean intolerance. It's just that beans increase gas while they're being fermented in your digestive system.
It's just because the alcohol's in them. That's all it is. It's like through when your digestive enzymes hit them, it creates that alcohol that gives you the
I'm
gas.
like, there's no alcohol
No.
in beans.
You can't get boozy off beans, sweetheart.
I'm like, well, no, that's what I was like, that's wrong information.
Oh, you're
Okay,
cute.
no, yeah, it's the sugars that break down in the system, not alcohols.
Anyways.
Okay, yes. So it's based on the sugars and how they break down. So there's some.
It's where like FODMAP diets come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the sugars that are being broken down and how they cause gas and upset and
Create food alcohols, which is the FODMAP thing. But anyways.
yes. So sorry, totally
Not boozy beans.
I'm so
Your
lost
mind is
now.
blown
My
right
mind
now. I
is
love
blown.
Okay, so yeah, based on your body's feedback. So again, learning to listen to our body, right? So taking note of things when you eat them. If they make you feel gassier, if they make you feel bloated, or if they make you have constant diarrhea or constipation, whatever that might be. Now, what I will say is, it's totally normal if you go from eating next to no protein to eating a whole bunch of protein to start to get backed up. We've talked about this in the past too. So increasing your fiber when you're increasing to higher levels of protein
And
to
your
do with your
healthy
activity
fats.
and your healthy fats as well. That all helps with that constipation naturally.
The motility.
Exactly.
Gut
Sorry,
motility.
thought I'd throw that one out there.
Yeah. So also when you're looking at your body's feedback, noticing that there's different kinds of food that land in the same category that you might feel differently with. So I'll give you an example. I know for myself, like mozzarella, that white cheese, really upsets my stomach. But for some reason, cheddar cheese, like the orange dyed cheese, doesn't upset my stomach. But I know that they both are dairy. They both are very similar, like, profiles. But for some reason, one affects my digestive system and the other doesn't.
Well, one's a lot softer of a cheese. So generally when people have issues with cheeses, and again, this is a generalization, but generally it's with the softer cheeses. So your blue cheeses, not that anybody
Brie,
in the
I love brie
but this is what I
cheese.
mean. Your Goudas, your lighter, your softer cheeses generally are the ones that give people more digestive upset than harder, lower fat cheeses. And it probably comes down to the fat content of it, just saying.
It might. There's a couple different things that, it relates to. So, being very aware of the food and how it makes you feel. And, that doesn't mean that, like a carrot, for example. If a carrot is raw, I get wicked heartburn. But if it's cooked, I'm fine. And so every person's body is different. I have a child that literally grabs an entire carrot out of the fridge and that's what she eats for a snack.
she's a rabbit. I love it.
So being very aware of how food makes your body feel, and maybe there's different ways that you prepare it that it might feel differently in your body.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 5 is it includes balance and living in the gray.
So I wanted to throw this one in there because a lot of people, when they start thinking of the perfect diet, the first word that they hear there is diet, right? So they're like, okay, diet means I can't enjoy anything that I used to enjoy, which is further than the truth than anything.
Well, diet is exactly everything that you do consume.
It's what you're consuming.
That is your diet. So being on a diet is the things that you might eat differently.
So the big thing is, though, you can't vilify foods. So if you enjoy dark chocolate, that doesn't mean because you're on a diet you have to 100% cut dark chocolate out because chocolate's the devil. It's bad. It's high in everything that's bad.
Or chips.
Everything in moderation, right? So you're not going to eat all chocolate or all chips, but if you love those foods, there's no point in depriving yourself completely of these things. Enjoy it in moderation. Don't beat yourself up for the 10% of your diet that isn't perfect.
If you're ready to make a change in your life, step into the best version of you, check out our Iron Self Transformation Program. Find more info on our website, www.ironbodycoach.com. So we always say that not all calories are created equal, meaning like, for example, an apple being 100 calories, and let's say like a
Four cups of lettuce.
a bag, or 4 cups of lettuce, a bag of chips, all of these things are 100 calories, but one's going to satiate your body differently. That is correct, but there have also, like, at the end of the day, it comes back to your calorie level for weight gain, weight loss. There was a girl, and I cannot think of her name, but she decided that she was going to do her own scientific study on herself. So going into competition prep, she decided that she was going to go on stage for a bikini, and she was going to have a chocolate bar every day of her prep. And then she chose the same chocolate bar, and this would just drive me nuts. I think by the end of prep, I wouldn't want to eat it ever again. But anyways, getting on with the story. She chose the same chocolate bar, and every day included it in her macros. So by the end of competition, you know, she's eating like close to 1,200 calories, and she's using 350 of them on this friggin' chocolate bar. And she still hit stage looking the way she wanted to look, because she included it as part of her plan. It was
planned.
It was planned. It was in the gray. So what we're saying is that, yes, not all calories are created equal, but we're also saying that you got to live in the gray, and you got to live your life sometimes too. So anything in excess is really not where you want to be. You want to have everything in moderation. So if you want to have a glass of wine with some friends on a Friday night, then it needs to be in moderation. You might just not be having a glass of wine on Saturday night. Or maybe, you know, like, maybe you're paying attention to what you're eating. And one is different
than one bottle. You know what I mean? So that's beer, wine, whatever it is. If you want to go out and enjoy yourself, by all means, go enjoy yourself in moderation. That means you don't get a 12-pack and drink the entire 12-pack because it's a social thing.
Unless that's your goal.
Unless that's your goal. But I think most people listening to this, probably not exactly their goal. So we're not telling you not to enjoy your lives. By all means, go out, enjoy your life, enjoy what you're eating, enjoy what you're drinking, especially, you know, with the holiday season and everything. Don't beat yourself up over it. That's the big thing, right? Everybody makes a choice. Life is all about the choices we create and make. And if you have chosen to eat not exactly to your goals because you were in a social situation, whatever excuse you gave yourself, it doesn't matter. Move forward, right? Don't get stuck in this, I didn't eat perfect and now I'm just going to keep rolling that train down. Yeah. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue towards your goals.
Well, and find ways to find that balance. And so we've said this in other podcasts before, but it takes 14 days for your taste buds to change over. So after about 14 days, maybe your main goal right now is to reduce the cream in your coffee. And so right now you're putting, and this is actually something that I would encourage you to do, is check how much cream you legit put in your coffee. Because I used to think I put like 1 to 2 tablespoons, and then it was always based on the color of the coffee, right? And I actually decided to measure it out one day, and it was like almost 1/3 of a cup of cream is what I was putting in my coffee before I went black coffee. But so being very realistic, okay, well, how much cream am I putting in my coffee? Okay, now I'm going to start reducing that down over time because that's in relation to my goals, and I'm going to start living in the gray there, maybe less cream in my coffee so that I can have a serving of ice cream at night.
Coffee's one of the big ones, right? Not a lot of people think about that. They're like, oh yeah, I have, you know, my 2 or 3 Timmies a day, and they're getting doubles, and then you look at how much sugar and creams in each of those, you know, that's like 600 calories worth of coffee in a day.
So really finding that balance in your life, nothing in excess. And this comes from anything in your life, not just food, like
too much of anything.
Too much TV, too much working out, too much negative thinking, too much positive thinking. Like you have to be kind of like in the middle with everything that you do. And that's truly where happiness and enjoyment live.
Except positivity. Boost that one.
We can all work on that. Okay, number 6 for creating the perfect meal plan is it needs to relate to your goals. So
if your goal is to be a giant bodybuilder on stage and you are a year away from your competition, you're not going to be at 1,200 calories, right?
You're also not going to be eating donuts.
Well, this is what I mean. So it's got to relate to your goals. Again, if you're on a diet, if you are looking to lose weight, if you're looking to recomposition your body in a more positive way for your goals, then you need to eat according to that.
Right. So when it comes to your goal, you got to think, is this goal weight loss? Is my goal weight gain? Is my goal just to have a healthy body and I'm eating for health? Is my goal to be able to just learn how to eat a little bit better and teach my children and inspire others to eat a little bit better?
I love that.
You know, what is it that your end point here is? Because that's really going to help you guide yourself into what gray means for that, right? If I'm going on stage into a bikini competition or a bodybuilding competition, my gray might be like having an extra piece of fruit at the end of the day. Woohoo! Right? Doesn't sound so gray to the average person, but based on a stricter meal diet plan, that might be the gray. When it comes to, say, wanting to eat for health, maybe your gray is that you have chicken wings on Friday night, so maybe you forego having chips on Saturday. That's your balance, right? So you got to find your different ways of adding in that balance.
Or if you're like looking at the whole family thing, right? You take your family out to the movies and you guys get popcorn and treats because the kids wanted it. You can the next day forego one of your carbs, one of your bread, whatever it might be.
Yeah, well, and teaching the kids, like there's, we have fun treat time, but it's not a fun treat time all the time. And I think that that's one place that we often get stuck is that, oh, I want to have these fun treats or these desserts or whatever you want to call them, snacks. But we want them all the time. Like, oh, I finished my dinner. I deserve a treat. Oh, I hit this target today. I deserve dessert. We get a case of the I deserve it. And I mean, really, we don't deserve anything. We work for everything just to simply amplify our life.
Yeah.
Right? So not trying to justify every choice that you're making with, I deserve it. I deserve it.
And that, what you said there is perfect because, again, it comes back to the choice, right? Justifying your choice. Most of the people listening to this are adults. You don't have to justify your choice to anybody. So you've made a choice, move on.
Exactly. So find that gray and find that balance with your goals and knowing that you're not going to hit your goals tomorrow night. It's going to be a progression. That is the word I'm looking for. Progression over time, right? It didn't take you, a month, 2 months to get to where you are now. It took you years to get there. So allow yourself the same grace to get to your other goals and knowing that when we do have those moments that we fall off, we brush them off and we get right back on the horse and we keep trucking along because at the end of the day, your goal should be to be 1% better than yesterday. We're not asking for a lot. Nobody's perfect. We are not perfect, okay? Seriously, I think we ate like 3 chocolate bars this weekend.
They were delicious.
They were delicious, right? We're not perfect. And everybody should understand that. But we also want to know that I can do better. I'm gonna keep striving for my salad that I really truly enjoy.
I was gonna say we also had, like, over the course of the weekend, I think I had 3 salads as well. So balance.
Right.
Live in the gray.
Right. Enjoying those things that you want to enjoy and the lifestyle that you want to enjoy. So let's do a quick recap. Perfect meal plan. Number 1, Mike.
First thing is it depends. No. First thing is reducing your inflammatory foods.
Number 2 is taking a whole food approach. We're not getting rid of one specific category of food.
Yep.
Okay? If you're going no carb, it's kind of crazy. If you're going no fat, kind of crazy. Find the middle. Whole food. Does it come from Mother Earth? Okay.
Reducing your intolerances, right? So figuring out what you might have intolerances to and reducing them.
Number 4, based on your body's feedback, so that whether that be an intolerance or just simply how the food makes you feel. Does it make you feel tired and lethargic? Or does it give you energy?
Yep.
Number 5.
Balance. Living in the gray. Learning how to balance your treat meals, we'll call them.
And number 6, it needs to relate to your goals. So being very realistic. Does this program relate to my goals? And so one thing I will say to everybody is that we don't do meal plans with our clients, okay? I'm not going to write out a list of Monday through Friday what you need to eat every day and give that to you and say, hey, go forth and eat just these things. Because you learn nothing. Yeah. Right? You learn to eat what I've told you to eat. And at the end of the day, that's not helpful because when you no longer are being told what to eat, you don't really know what to eat.
So the way we do it is we give you the information. We give you ideas, 100%. We never leave anybody to their own devices. Here's great ideas. Here's some other great ideas. make your own choices.
Right. If you enjoy eating, more of that higher fat foods and your body responds better to it, hormonally you're better to it, then of course go forth, have some avocado, have some walnuts, eat those kinds of things. If your body does better because you're looking for specific performance on higher carbohydrates, then, eat those yams and those potatoes and butternut squashes and enjoy them. And always, always find that moderate place of protein, because most people are not eating enough of the protein that they need in order to sustain their body.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different things that we need to look at, these different macronutrients. I mean, with precision nutrition, we say eat the rainbow. Like, you should be eating things from a variety of colors. Start looking at the color of the food that you're eating and being very aware of that and very conscious. Am I only eating, white, beige items? Starting to include that rainbow.
Okay. Well,
hopefully you guys found some value in today's episode. I hope that you got some really good information. There is a free 21-day meal plan on our website that you can go download and get some ideas for what maybe you'd like to eat that includes some whole foods. But it's not, I wouldn't say stick to that 100%. Start to incorporate the things that you enjoy. Start to eat the foods that you want to enjoy, and the things that relate to your goals make you feel good.
So again, if you want to get that meal plan, it's on our website, www.ironbodycoach.com.
Thank you so much for listening today. Like it, share it with a friend, a family member, anybody that you feel could benefit from this.
Have an awesome day, guys.
Bye for now.